Gambling in prison. It's not something I would recommend you do. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. Obviously, as on the out, gambling more than you can afford, you're going to find yourself coming unstuck pretty quickly, and in jail. Obviously, the ramifications of that can be quite painful. But it was one of my favourite pastimes. And once you're in with a good bunch of lads who aren't going to be stitching each other up and things, it was something that we used to spend quite a lot of our spare time doing. The amount of things that you can gamble on and bet and put a wager on are absolutely endless. It goes on for everything. So when I was on the garden party in HMP Dartmoor, we didn't work when it was raining, but we'd still have to leave the cell and go out to the garden area. So we just sit in the break room. It could be raining on Dartmoor for weeks on end. So we spent a lot of time sat in the break room just playing cards. We play a game called Shithead. It's a really great fun game. But we'd bet for, what were they, refresher bars. So those small little 5p refresher bars. And we'd just use those as sort of gambling chips for the week. And at the end of each week, we just give each other an order for what we wanted. You'd have sweepstakes for the Grand National and things. You just throw a couple of chocolate bars in and fucking pick a horse. And you could win yourself like 80 odd chocolate bars. That's all pretty good fun. You used to do the bonus ball on the lottery. I remember we used to have like a gambling sheet, and you'd have for half ounce of tobacco, you'd be able to get yourself 7 numbers. And if any of those 7 numbers came up in the lottery, then you won everyone's tobacco. What else do we used to do? Football pools as well. We'd be betting similar as you do on the outside. We'd have a football pool, so you'd be betting on the win, lose, or draw of any games. And the person who got the highest points after the weekend got all the that was half ounces as well. Yeah, got all the half ounces of that one. Similar to the outside in the sun, we'd have pick a team for the World Cup, and we'd also do the fantasy football as well, getting that in the sun and doing all the gambling on the fantasy football. It would for stakes and things. Obviously, you limited because we weren't in the business of sort of betting for cash and things like that. So we'd normally be betting for Mars bars or other chocolate bars. Tobacco, obviously, when you used to be able to smoke in prison, you can't do any of that anymore. They're all probably vape pen fucking gambling now. Now, when I first went onto this wing where I used to gamble loads, I didn't have any real support from the outside, so I wasn't really getting any money coming in. So I was kind of just living on prison wages, which in the most part can be anywhere between like £7 and £9 usually, depending on what job you're doing. So it becomes quite difficult to live in any kind of sense on that kind of money. So I would use gambling as a way of sort of making myself some money. But initially I needed to build up that stake pot. So when I was on the resettlement wing, like I said, I had no outside support other than my sort of mum was sending in some clothes and things for me. So I asked her to send in some of the some new DVDs that she could get her hands on from sort of like HMV or something sort of new, but something that would be cheap. And I remember because we were allowed DVDs on the resettlement wing, so she sent those in for me. And after I'd watched them, I had real no need for them anymore. So I sold them off to lads on the wing. I think I sold them for like a pouch of tobacco for each DVD, and then that built up my stake money then. So then I could start gambling on the on the football pools and the lottery. And as soon as you win one of those, which the lottery, I know it can be completely random. You can not win it as much as you do win it, but we used to win fairly regularly on the bonus ball one. So that brings you in something like 7 or 8 fucking packs of tobacco as well. And then you'd swap those packs of tobacco because I didn't smoke. So I'd swap all those packs of tobacco for sort of snacks and treats and protein powders and that sort of thing. So that's how you kind of build up your little sort of your betting allowance in prison. Now, once I'd started smuggling items into the prison, then obviously I could use that money I was gambling with to build up a shop, and I ended up not only fucking gambling with all this stuff, I ended up selling it to people on the wing as well. Now, obviously, the risk of gambling is that you're going to get yourself in trouble. So, like I say, one time in Portland, we were bored on the wing, so I was playing cards with my friend, and I think we were paying for like £1 a hand, something like that, and then we'd work it out on the canteen sheet sort of later on. So we're playing. I think we were playing shithead again, and we'd been playing all day, and I think by the end of the day I was about 35 quid down. I was having a terrible afternoon. So I said, okay, let's have enough for today, and we'll come back to this tomorrow. Now I thought, fuck this, I'm not paying this guy fucking 35 quid, and there's no way that I'm going to risk maybe getting in more, because if I'm playing all day tomorrow, I could be £100 in debt by the end of the day if I start getting desperate, and that's going to be sort of big trouble in prison, because again, I've got no real money support coming in, so I'm living on prison wages. It's going to take me about 3 or 4 weeks to pay this off. So yeah, 35 quid in prison, if you're thinking about, £7 a week, we're looking at fucking a month's wages almost. So on the outside, that would be the equivalent to being about, a grand and a half down, So I had to do something about this. So I went and got another deck of cards from a friend of mine, and it was the same deck of cards that we were playing with, me and my friend. So I took out some of the good cards. I can't remember what the good cards are. I think they're like 2s, 7s, and a king probably. I can't remember. But I made sure I had a pocket full of the good cards for the game. And the way the game works is you have 3 cards that are face down, and you have to play all the way through the deck of cards. And then when you get to the last 3 cards, you don't know what they are, but you've got to play them as your final hand. So I made sure that by the time I got down to those final 3 cards, when I looked at it, I would then slip it down under the table, pull out a decent card from my pocket, and kind of whip that one down. And I managed to do it in a way that, old boy didn't notice, because we was playing on a table and things, and he didn't pick up that I was cheating. So every time, as long as I could get down to being into those last 3 cards, I knew I was going to win the game every time. And I ended up getting the deficit down. My £35 debt got down to £5 in the end, and I ended up just calling it a day, because I'd run out of good cards, and I thought that was a win basically. £5 was a lot better than the £35 debt that I'd managed to get myself in. Now, one of my friends, when I was in Dartmoor, we'd moved on to just playing poker all the time, and I've become a pretty good poker player. Just because, especially in Portland as well, in prison, in poker you play the player rather than the hand, and if you're playing face to face and you're around each other all the time, you kind of get to know each other, and when players are going to back out and when they're not. So yeah, it was a good time to kind of be brave and bully people a little bit in the poker. But we'd be playing for half ounce a hand, and again, when you sat around playing cards all day, that can get expensive if you're losing. But my friend Rich was really, really good at cheating at fucking poker. He was good enough to be able to deal you a hand that was, you get like 3 kings or something, and you think that was good enough to go all the way. And then he would have also given himself a fucking royal flush. So he was not only good enough to give you a good hand, but fucking make sure he had a better one. And you couldn't see him do it. So fucking, if we were ever playing properly, and he was dealing, it was his turn to deal, I'd always back out straight away, because I knew there was a good chance that you're going to get bent over. Now, like I've mentioned, it's the real problem with gambling in prison is people get themselves too far in debt. Not only with gambling, but buying drugs and things. Heroin's a real problem. I imagine spice is the real problem now as well. But people would run up bills that they couldn't afford to pay back. They'd always be talking about they've got a parcel coming in, or they've got money coming in, that sort of thing. But it would never emerge, and the bill they'd run up would become unpayable. And at that point, they normally run off to the protection wing. Now, when I was part of the little Scouse gang in Exeter, I was also the gym orderly in the prison, so I was able to get access to every wing on the prison. So if anybody ever run up any drugs debts with the Scousers, it would be my job to go and collect that debt from the protection wing, because I got unfortunately, I know I still had to do the gym sessions for the fucking nonces as well. So, but on the upside is that would give me access to the protection wing, because the gym staff would take us over there, and we'd have to go fucking landing to landing shouting whatever session was on, which would give me the opportunity, because I also had access, being in the gym, to the fucking the list of all the prisoners in the prison. It would be sort of printed out on the side, because we'd have to do people's gym cards and things, and it would tell you the cell that every prisoner was in. So if anybody ever ran off onto the protection wing, I'd just have to look on the newest printout of where everybody was in the prison, and I'd find them, and I'd just go to their cell and collect the debt. So yeah, our reach was long in Exeter, and we had a good little run there for a while. But obviously, you know, it's not a wise thing to be gambling in prison. But if you are going to do it, you know, just bet what you can afford, and just have some fun. But yeah, that was my experience of gambling in prison. It was great fun, passed a lot of time, and just makes a bit of fun out of quite a shitty, sorry situation. All right, so yeah, thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe and like and share with all your friends. And yeah, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.